morning, Boerne. Thanks for tuning in to the Boerne Brew. My name is Jeff Flinn. I'm the managing editor at the Boerne Star newspaper. We work in conjunction with Baron Wiley and Roland Reese and the good people down here at Boerne Radio 103.9 FM. Hey, we got a good show. We got a lot of rain lately. You know what happens with rains? Things turn green. And when things turn green, it kind of lessens the idea that there's a fire out there, okay? Because in 2 or 3 weeks or a month, it's going to be as dry as it was 6 weeks ago. And when it's dry, we have fires, and fires are something that the Brady Constantine and the good folks at the Hill Country Fire Coalition, they're on top of it. They're getting things ready, and they're out there helping people get themselves ready. I've got Toby Vicknair here from the Boerne Fire Department. He's a lieutenant over there. Toby, thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much.
He's been out to big fires out in California, Nevada, up in West Texas when fires are as big as the city of Boerne or not bigger. I want to talk about that aspect of wildfires. But I've got Doug Mackle here. He's the logistics administrator for the Hill Country Fire Coalition of Texas. Thanks for coming in, Doug. The Hill Country Fire Coalition, what's the purpose of this, and how do people recognize, or how do people get in touch with you guys to do what you do?
Well, we actually started back in 2024, actually 2023. We started with the Community Wildfire Protection Plan for the Kendall County. And once we completed that, then we got it approved through the state, and everything went really well. The only problem or concern we had is that the county didn't have any way to implement it. Mm-hmm. And so to implement it, Christy came up with the idea.
Christy Wiley.
Christy Wiley, oh, absolutely. She's unbelievable. And she said, hey, what do you think about us doing something like a fire coalition? I said, a fire coalition? She said, yeah, to help the county implement the CWPP that we spent time on. So anyway, so we went down that road, and she went through the process of getting us, it's a 501c3 status. So in 2024, we developed that to start working on what the plans had in it, which was a lot of education.
Right.
Education towards how people can better make their homes safer, and it's awareness.
Right.
And, you know, a lot of times you're sitting there, you're thinking, well, you know, what can I do? What is my one, the neighbor doesn't do it, so what good am I doing? And then you start, well, just a second, you know, did you see the house in Maui that didn't burn? And there's been a number of other fires where individual homes that didn't burn, and there was a reason for that. And a lot of that has to do with preparation, what the people had done, and the ones that burnt, what they hadn't done. And so there's been a lot of studies, and a lot of stuff has been identified, and it's not complicated stuff. And a lot of it isn't expensive to do. And you don't have to zero-scape. Mm-hmm. to be safe. So there's a lot of things that we can come out and do a assessment, and usually look at 10 or so things where we go through, look at the house, and for example, you'll check, make sure gutters. A lot of fires, they start from embers. Right. They're dropping embers out of the sky, because usually when in that peak fire season you have wind. And usually in here we get up to 40 miles an hour at least, you know, and some of the worst fires, that's all it takes, you know. Even 20 miles an hour, if, you know, Toby's out there chasing it, he's thinking, well, that's enough for me, right? And
moving pretty quick.
Yes, it sure can, especially with the right fuel. And so there's just a lot of things that people can do.
Probably, I'm thinking off the top of my head, probably roofs.
Absolutely. That's a big one, you know, to keep all the leaves and stuff out of the valleys, and then out of your gutters. You know, there's always a big push now to have all the leaf guard stuff on there, but they still require maintenance too, you know, because if it doesn't collect there, it'll collect, like I said, in those valleys. And
it's so nice to have the nice foliage protecting your windows from the street so people can't see in. But if there's a fire, that thing's going to go whoosh right up, and you'll have this fire right in your face.
Well, yes, and there's, you know, there's a lot of things to consider there too, you know. A certain amount of shrubbery around the house, it's not bad, you know, and the same way, you know, it's at 0 to 5 foot area. But if you keep it watered and green, you know, it doesn't burn very well unless it's cedar. You know, there are shrubs that you go, whoa, even if it's green, and I don't think you should plant that there.
And you can help people, you can go out to people who have established homes or people that are building homes.
Both ways. We're trying to get more into the helping do some of the pre-stuff, the early stuff when people are building and the plants they plant. And how they're spaced, how big they're going to get. And then that's like everything else. It takes maintenance. You know, it's not something, well, I fixed it today and I don't have to touch that for 5 years. Well, no, that's not how that goes. And also the same thing is, for example, decks, wooden decks and things of that nature.
Right.
Being able to have that screened in on the bottom part, or if there's furniture on a porch, if it's during ideal fire season, maybe you don't leave all that furniture sitting out. So there's a lot of things that you can really do. Wooden fences, you know, everybody likes a nice privacy fence, but those are an issue also if a small fire or whatever it is burns up to that wooden fence, and then it burns up to the house, and now it goes up into the eaves.
I live in Converse, and there was a house fire on like a corner lot.
Yes.
And it was spreading, and the guy who lived next door, he came and drove his truck around and drove his truck through the fence because the fire was going down the fence.
Down the fence line.
And it was going to hit, because, you know, it was going to hit the coupling and then his back fence, but it had taken him right to his house. And he drove his truck through the fence, took out a 10 or 12 foot, what do you call it, a brake?
Yeah.
A fire brake.
Fire brake, yes. Wow.
He issued a fire brake on it. I don't know how fast he got going, but his truck was sitting there. He had backed out, and he knew it was going to go.
Yeah, it would have. It probably would have. When you get that wind, and then fire gets going with the wind, and it kind of creates a little more of its own wind, and it's very challenging at times.
How do people get a hold of the Hill Country Fire Coalition?
Well, we have a phone number here. Call 830-326-031.
9031.
Or email us at info@hcfcotx.com.
HCFC?
HCFCOFTC.com.
Okay, Hill Country Fire Coalition of Texas. Texas. Okay, HCFC of. Good. info@hcfctx.com. Do you guys have one of those things scheduled soon?
Scheduled at
Like to go to somebody's ranch house or
in a
somebody's
matter of
home
fact,
or something?
yes, next week.
Really?
Yeah, we are doing. We have a small grant from NFPA, and we're going to go out there and do some work around the 0 to 5 foot area around a lady's house. We did one last year in Comfort. This year we're doing it in Sisterdale.
Okay.
And it's usually somebody that has the special needs or financially not able to do it. We'll go out, and that's what our property assessments are all about. You know,
Call me, I'll join you.
Okay. Well, fantastic. Fantastic. Okay.
I won't give my opinion. I'll just stand back and watch.
Oh, well, yeah. So we're going to be working on the 12th and 13th. We have a group of young grown-ups from the high school.
Oh,
the
yeah,
seniors.
yeah.
They're going
Christy
to be
sent me
helping.
that,
They're
right.
going to be helping us on Wednesday,
Okay,
the
good.
13th. But we have another group that's going to be helping us early because there's quite a bit of work to do around this individual's home.
Right.
And so we're going to be spending a lot of time out there those 2 days.
That's one of those spin-off things where you're educating the kids
Absolutely.
as well. Because they're going to go home and say, Mom, that tree in front yard, if we ever catch fire, that thing's going to fall right on the house, and they'll take that information home with them.
Well, you know, and we have a thing called ladder fuels, and Toby's really knows very much about that, about how it's the small stuff down below that starts burning, and it gets up and higher up, and then it goes on the top of the canopy, and now you're in trouble.
Right.
And then it really runs on you.
Yep.
But anyway, so we'll be working on that on Tuesday and Wednesday.
We're going to turn to Toby Vicknair. Toby, he just talked about the embers down and the canopy up and over, and all of a sudden you have I think I saw figures that 86% of wildfires are man-caused, which are bad, but it's also when you have bad weather and you're out in the middle of nowhere, lightning strikes, humans can get where humans can get. But when you have lightning strikes, it strikes no matter where it wants to do, you know. So wildfires that are almost weather-related are sometimes harder to get to because there's no given path that the man had walked down. Toby, thanks for coming in. When's your most recent trip out to fight a fire somewhere in the world?
We went in March, I guess, up to the Panhandle. We were there for staging for a bunch of extreme fire weather, and we ended up catching a fire. That ended up being about an 18,000 acre fire called the Lavender fire.
18,000. Make that make sense to me. What is 18,000? Is that the Hill Country Mile? Is that the size of the football field?
Well,
So
I
people
would
can
say about
understand.
10,000 acres is 4 square miles. So
Okay.
4 miles in one direction, 4 miles in another direction.
Wow.
So Almost double that. It was 28 miles long, but not wide.
Okay.
Super slender. You're on the radio, so you obviously can't see it. But if you were to look up the Lavender fire in the Panhandle, you'll see it. It looks like, it started at this area. Honestly, I don't even remember what it started from. Probably man-made. But then it headed east. So for 28 miles is what it ended up being through the Canadian River Basin.
First of all, how are you selected by, and who selects you? The Texas Emergency Management Coordinator? What's that group?
Right.
And how do you guys respond? Does a call come into Chief Manny? Manny says, okay, sure, I've got you and you go.
Right.
How does that?
So what Chief Manny has done, we have a system in place where he's allowed some of us to, basically take over that, and that being the deployment. So what we do is we literally have a Google sheet. You go on there, you put your availability for start at the first of the month, you're available, what your available times or days are. So then when something comes out from the state, TDM funds, TIFMAS, and the other cooperators throughout the state, whether it's TFS or whomever, is who puts the people in place.
Okay.
So when you see TDM, Texas Department of Emergency Management, that division is what funds it. We go out through what's called TIFMAS, Texas Interstate Fire Mutual Aid System.
Yeah, okay.
Super confusing, but it's called TIFMAS. So we go out through TIFMAS. There's a regional coordinator that sends something out on an app, and it says, hey, we've got an assignment. We see that these departments are available on the sheet. So in our in-house, we've already determined, hey, we've got, 5 people available, 10 people available, whatever the case may be. And they have to be different levels, basically. Firefighters, we need somebody that can drive the truck, and we need somebody that can boss the truck, or if you want to call it that, it's engine boss or engine boss trainee. Right. So we have those different levels and folks that have gotten to those different levels and certifications, because some of it's certification, some of it's experience. So, yeah, we put our name in the hat, and just like Chief Mackle knows, sometimes you get picked and sometimes you don't. And sometimes if you haven't been picked 3 or 4 times, you're like, hey, whose Cheerios did we pee in this morning? What did we do wrong? So we're very competent and we do a good job when we go out. So what did we do? No. So there's so many departments in our area. They try to be fair in how they put them out. So anyway, that's how that part of the process works. And then some of it is just basically staging. They don't like to use that word, but you're pre-positioned for anything that might happen. So
when you get there, they're already decided. Because when you go out, it's just not you, right? You might join somebody from Seguin and somebody from...
Right. So that's what they call a strike team, right? So right. They put together a strike team based on what the needs are at that area. That could be, we can get into typing and different stuff. That's something that another day. But they put a team together, and yes, it's from different departments in our area, so they don't have, 5 trucks from Boerne, which right. we couldn't do that anyway. And that way it doesn't put too much of a strain on each department. So we get the call, the typing, what we're going to send out, how many people we're going to send out. If we can't supply all the people, sometimes we'll get people from another department. And that way we mix the truck and then send it out to wherever they've decided we're going to pre-position.
And when you get there, it's 12-hour, 14-hour shifts, 12-hour?
Typically 12 hours. And that's not including like getting your truck ready in the morning, things of that nature. Right. Like they want us at the briefing, let's say at 8 o'clock, if that's the operational period. So we'd be there at 8, but it may be an hour drive. It may be 2 hours of drive. Just depends. We were in California, and it was almost 2 hours to where we needed to be. So
that was the huge fire in L.A., right?
We went to both.
Hills.
We went to the one in the Palisades, which is what you're talking about. And then I was actually deployed on the Park Fire, which was up in like Tehama County, the northern part of California. It was about 429,000 acres.
Now, by the time you arrived to California, that's a raging out of control.
Well, usually even before that it is, because now they've called for aid from other states.
Right.
So if Cal Fire is the largest fire department in the country. Yeah. New York might be a little bit larger, but not by much, because California, for Cal Fire to be that big. So yeah, when they're calling, they're like, yeah, it's bad, real bad. A Type 1 incident, which is federally managed at that point, they bring in teams just to manage the incident. And so then, yeah, when we get there, which is a 3-day drive to where we went, 2.5 days to Southern California. So then you're staged up in an area, and you put on deck for whatever they need or whatever area. A lot of times you're changing out with crews that have been doing this for days, if not a week or weeks at that point.
Yep.
So they're just extremely tired. So those shifts are usually 24 hours. In California they are. Here in Texas they typically keep them at about 12 hours. So,
folks, we're talking about wildfires here. It's a National Wildfire Awareness Month, and of course it's rained the last week or two, which helps quell that fire issue, but it's going to come back, folks. We're in Texas. It's going to be dry here within 3 weeks or a month, and everything's going to be tender again. We were talking to Doug Mackle here from the Hill Country Fire Coalition of Texas, talking about Firewise prevention, which is Firewise is a program set up to help you look at your state, look at your home, look at your area, and say, how can I better prevent the fire from spreading when it comes up, when it's coming down the road? What do I have to do to protect my home? I've got Toby Vicknair here from the Boerne Fire Department, lieutenant with BFD, been out on fire, been out on wildfires, fighting, been staged and driven. He just drove the 2.5 hours out to the Palisades fire, which made the big news January of last year, right? Was it 25 or 24?
Yeah, we sent a couple of our guys out to the Palisades and then also to the Park Fire in Northern California.
Yeah, those were just horrendously big. Toby spit out a phrase. Yeah, the fire at the Panhandle was 18,000 square feet, right? 18,000 square miles.
Acres.
18,000 acres.
Yeah,
18,000 acres, which is 4 miles by 4 miles. So the Hill Country Mile.
It's even bigger than that. Yeah,
and the Hill Country Mile, and the Hill Country Mile, that way, and then the Hill Country Mile.
Yeah, really, it's even bigger than that, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then we also had some guys out on the Smokehouse Creek fire.
Oh, yeah.
That went out for that as well. That's the largest fire Texas has ever had. So
when we send you out there, are the flames right where Barron's sitting? Are the flames right there and you're right there, or how does that work?
Yeah, so this recent one that we were deployed out on.
The Lavender.
Yes, sir. We got to that area and we staged for almost most of the day. Well, then the weather conditions got bad and that fire kicked off. So what they did was they sent us out to the fire, and when we got out to that area, they said, hey, go look at the structures and see what are salvageable, make sure there's nobody in them. So that's what we did first. We drove through the fire, got into some of the areas where homes were. We did what they call structure triage, like, hey, can we save it? Can we not save it? Do we write it off? All that kind of stuff. So after that, then we actually got to engaging on the fire for the rest of the night and then came back the next day and did the same thing.
That's better. There's a famous incident. It seems like it's probably 10 years ago. Like there were 19 firefighters killed when a fire turned on them, and they had the asbestos. One guy survived with the asbestos suit he had thrown over him, and the other 19 perished. That's when you start looking at things thinking, wow, that's, that kind of danger is when you put people out there to fight a wildfire. Yeah. It's not like mowing your yard. It's not like watering your trees. You're out there with the potential of a tree falling over or a wind turns a fire.
One. Yeah, the wind's a big one.
Yeah, the wind. I talked to Tate Maitland, who lived in the Lahaina fire.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And he took pictures on his second floor roof of the fire rolling through, and all of a sudden that smoke turned. He said, we got to go.
Wow.
He and his girlfriend split, and the house got consumed, and he came back the next morning when there was a group of people gathering searchers at a fire station. Mm-hmm. So he went further up the street because he knew they'd stop him. And he went in, his truck was smoldering out in front of his house. And so, it's that wind turns, he said, oh, we better go. And they lost everything. So the Hill Country Fire Coalition, tell us how people get a hold of you guys and what you guys can do for the person who has a home out anywhere out there wants to say, I want to make sure I'm fire safe. I understand the threat of embers. Ember is, you take a lit cigarette and blow it. That's that thing that goes like that. What are those little flowers that have the daffodils? You blow on it. What are those?
Dandelions?
Dandelion. Yeah, you blow it. What? I couldn't remember what they're called.
What do I win?
What do I win? You blow a dandelion. All those things go. Well, if all those were on fire, they're going to land and start a fire on dry timber, on your roof, in your gutter, on your windowsill, that kind of stuff.
Right.
I got Doug Mackle. Doug, talk to us.
Okay. Well, actually, we have a program right now that's free. It's called a property risk assessment.
Risk assessment.
Yes. And we will come out to the resident and go over the, 10, 15 items. And it's all confidential. And it's free. That's the big one. It's free.
F-R-E-E.
Yes. And so that is one of our goals, is to get this information out there. It's education, knowledge, all that kind of stuff. That's going to help make things better. And because, like I said earlier, a lot of these things, they're not complicated. They're really rather simple that you go, wow, yeah, that makes sense. Like you were talking about with the embers. And so we'd come out and do that assessment. And then if it's an individual, for example, that has special circumstances that either that financially they can't afford to do it or they can't physically do it, we have a grant program for that they can apply for. And then if they apply for that, and then we'll review it, the information, make sure it complies with everything, and then we will give them assistance in that way to a certain dollar amount.
How can they get a hold of you, Doug?
The best thing to do, I think, would be call 830-326-9031.
Okay.
Or email us at hcfcoftx.com.
And that's the abbreviation for Hill Country Fire Coalition of Texas. HCFC of TX.com. Folks, get a hold of that. It's free. So if you have a house, if you spend $1 million on your house, don't lose it on a fire with your neighbors. Your neighbor sets a tree on fire and all the embers come and land on your roof, and all of a sudden your house is burning from the top down. Have them come out and look at your thing and say, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. I don't know if they do one of those a month or 3 of them a week, whatever the situation, they can tune you in on that. And it's free. It's not like you're spending $180 to have an auditor come out and do it, or your insurance company's coming out and charge you $125 to look at your roof. Toby Vicknair. Toby, talk to me about the wildfire, this National Wildfire Awareness Month, which is probably at the beginning of wildfire season, correct?
We used to, it was, kind of the fall into the spring, but now it's almost year round that we were literally talking about this other day that wildfires just are pretty much year round now. And obviously once it dries out in the summer. The bad thing about getting so much rain is it starts growing everything. Well, now you get a good stand of grass or whatever the case may be, some good, growth on trees and stuff. It all dries out. Now you have just more that can catch on fire. So we don't want to be mad about the rain by no means ever.
So what do they say if you win? What if you win and what if you lose, right?
There you go.
You're screwed either way, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
I can say it for you.
Thank you, Toby.
Leave it to a fireman. Leave it to a firefighter.
Yeah, you're screwed either way. The lesser of two evils.
There you go. Thank you,
that's
Toby.
what you're looking
Thank
for,
you,
right?
Toby. Looking forward to seeing Toby. Are you at the July 4th run, the flag run?
Yes, sir. We're still looking for a couple of sponsorships and more signups too.
Yeah.
Little quick plug. Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding. There we go. Winter chicken dinner, right?
There we go.
Listen, thanks a lot for tuning in, folks. It is wildfire season. Be wary, be cautious. Understand that cigarette tossed out of a window, or even there was a fire started when I first got here by a truck idling in tall grass. So, folks, be aware. Call the Hill Country Fire Coalition, 830-326-9031. Maybe they can come out and help yourself. Guys, thank you for coming in today. Thanks for having.
Thank you.
Hope this is a good weekend. I don't know if it's going to be raining or not. We record this during the week and then play it back on Saturday. Have a great day out there. I'll see you out there as well. Thank you, Bernie. God bless. Bye-bye.